Our approach to cybersecurity management at Save the Children International is very risk-based and pragmatic. We have to be realistic in that we do not have the types of budgets multinational commercial organisations or finance organisations of a similar size may have. So we have to make sure that our investment really counts in cybersecurity and that brings the biggest benefit, whether that's investing in cybersecurity technologies or in resourcing for our cybersecurity function. Historically, organisations like us took quite a perimeter focused view of information security, trying to stop people getting inside the network. We now take a very zero trust approach that assumes users or devices will be breached and that we have the technology and processes in place to identify those breaches and respond before they have too big an impact. Key thing for me in getting increasing buy-in from our board on cybersecurity and cybersecurity investment was being very specific about the types of cybersecurity threat that organisations such as Save the Children International face. By being very specific about the types of threat that we face and how investment can counter those threats and reduce the risk of us suffering a major cybersecurity incident, it's a lot easier to explain that narrative to the board and get that kind of buy-in that you need. My advice to other charities looking to increase buy-in from their boards on cybersecurity would be twofold. One would be, like us, to be very specific around the types of threat your organisation faces in terms of cybersecurity, not just using a tick list of technologies you need to buy, but building a story or a narrative around how that investment is going to suit you and your organisation and reduce your specific risks. And the second one is about engaging widely across the organisation, not just through IT, but with other business functions such as HR, finance, to explain that cybersecurity isn't just an IT issue, it's something that affects the whole organisation and needs to be a joined up approach.
So our charity was subject to a ransomware attack, which I now know more about than I ever thought I would. And it was carried out by a group called Conti, apparently, so the experts tell me. And it was detected because it instantly made all of our files inaccessible. So it was very easily spotted when people got to work and realised that the things that they wanted to work on were not available to them. So it was a very immediate and very urgent crisis at that point. So the systems that were compromised as part of our attack were mostly the systems that make the charity run. So we have done lots of work in ring fencing things like ticketing and financial transactions and things, but it was all the stuff that's the business of the charity. So all of our operational files, all of our HR files, payroll, finance, etc., and all of our archive files as well. They were all compromised and unavailable to us operationally immediately. Our system protection and our protections against downtime or loss of service, that was all really robust. But we hadn't really planned for a cyber attack with malicious intent. We'd sort of planned for what happens if we can't access the buildings or the servers go down or there's no power. So I think our preparedness was pretty superficial. And the organisation, people are mindful of things like phishing emails and those sorts of things, but I don't think until it happened to us, we realised quite how serious this sort of attack would be. And we certainly weren't prepared for a sort of full denial of access to our systems, which was a very, very sharp learning curve for us. We have changed dramatically how we work operationally, and the sort of our response to our IT infrastructure as an organisation is now rooted in preventing this from ever happening again and protecting us from vulnerabilities that could be taken advantage of as a small charity. I would assume that it's going to happen. I would make it board responsibility. I'd make sure that your risk committee or your finance committee or your technology committee, whichever committee you have this as a specific thing on their risk register and are asking questions about what we're doing about it. And my other advice, which we learnt the hard way, is if you have backups and you have your plan Bs and your business interruption plans and your contingencies, make sure that they're tested. Ours were not tested, and we were unable to restore from backup because we'd failed in that testing process. So have the plan, test the plan, know the plan, and assume that you're absolutely going to have to get it off the shelf at some point, because this kind of attack is just increasing. And if your board don't see that, or your executive team don't see that, then you should just a quick Google of charities that this has happened to, or big businesses this has happened to, should get them scared enough to pay attention. My advice to charity trustees would be to go out and seek information from organisations like the NCSC, like the Charities Commission or OSCA, or any of the other regulators in your area, who will all have really clear, really good guides about what charities need to be aware of in terms of cybercrime resilience. And then ask the operations and executive team at the charity that you're responsible for, and understand what we're doing as a charity to prevent, what we're doing as a charity to minimise the damage if it does happen, and what we're doing to ensure that we're building systems and structures that are future-proof.